We no longer have the opportunity just to wait on the world to change. As teacher leaders, it's up to us to enact that change. When you look at the image in front of you, you notice it's a well-maintained and well-kept piece of lawn in front of somebody's house here in Washington, D.C. And what I want you to first notice is that this is not what everybody's lawn across the country, across the state, or across the division looks like. Instead, some lawns may look like mine, where there's plenty of bare patches and some grass patches, but a lot of bare patches. And I think this correlates well with our educational system as it stands right now. We've got some grassy patches, we've got some areas of high performance that are doing really well and are continuing to grow. But we have a lot of bare spots, and those bare spots are just lack fertility and have no opportunity for growth. So if we were to take a sprinkler system and just put it in the middle of this field and turn it on daily for the next couple weeks, what would inevitably happen? Well, the grass would continue to grow, the higher achieving schools would continue to perform well, and the bare spots would remain bare. And if we apply that one mindset approach to schooling, to life, to the business model, you're just going to leave yourself unsuccessful. And so it's time that we stop and we start discussing different ways or differentiated ways to ensure that all students are successful. Because if they're not, and if they deem themselves as failures from an early age, they will never reach the potential that is ahead of them. You see, most life on the bottom moves in the slow lane or not at all. When you believe you're at the bottom, you tend to slow yourself down, or maybe not even believe that you have any future success in front of you. So there are a lot of challenges as teachers and as leaders in today's world, because we're trying to enact change, but we're struggling to figure out what's the best change that we should be making. You know, there are no limits to growth and human progress when men and women are free to follow their dreams. And those dreams, they start at a very young age. They start with the educational journey when you enter elementary school. So what do I want to get out of this big idea? I want to get out of this big idea the notion that we are all united, and it's essential to understand that our global community is ever changing and that we will always be different. A one-size-fits-all model will never work, because our differences, our uniqueness, makes us who we are. So looking at the data quickly, I just want you to notice one thing and one thing alone, and that's that the data shows that our test scores are declining. And these are just the core classes at the school where I teach. Well, if you wanted to break that down even further and look at the subgroups, you'll notice that, again, every single subgroup over the past 3 years is declining when it relates to test scores. Well, let's broaden it out. Let's look at the county level and let's look at the state level. If you notice, for the most part, over the last 3 years, scores have continued to go down. So this is not just a school issue, this is not just a division issue, it's a state issue as well. So what happens when schools struggle? Well, teachers are impacted the most and right away, right? So they're required to do things like common lesson plans. And common lesson plans, typically when they're developed from a state improvement committee, are very long. So here's just an example of one of our lesson plans for 1 week, and typically on average our PLC has noted that it takes approximately 4 hours to complete a week's worth of lesson plans, and it's all because it's extremely detailed, and you can notice it goes all the way over here because it's on a Google Doc and you have to scroll all the way over. But these are to be submitted every Monday to your principal, your department chair, and also a state improvement planning member. These were lesson plans that were not required prior to Falling Creek Middle School becoming accredited with warning. So it's important to note that these are things that are new. So what is my big idea? What do I kind of want to get out of this? I want to get out of this the notion that every child should have an individualized education plan or a program. And so this would mean that you would basically be able to track student understanding, student data, and most importantly, student growth over the course of a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. The problem is that takes a lot of time. So we can't make this one of those special ed looking forms that takes forever to complete. Instead, we've got to make sure that it's clear, it's concise, it's to the point, and most importantly, students understand them. Because we need to understand one thing. We need to balance the notion that teachers need time in order to plan adequate lessons that can be implemented into the classroom. So the program that I would like to develop is called a PEP. A PEP stands for Personalized Education Plan. And the only way a personalized education plan will work is if teachers collaborate extremely well with one another. It would mean that every single child would have a personalized education plan for every single class that they are taking at school. And if we work together, we're going to figure out that we shall overcome all of the challenges that are in front of us. Because the only way to hit a home run, and the only way to score a touchdown, and the only way to score a goal, and the only way to get that basketball through that basket is to understand that we all have meaningful things that need to be said so that our policy leaders, our administrators, our school board members believe in everything that we have to say. And until we do that, we might as well just sit back and wait, because nothing's going to happen unless you say what you need to say.